Hey guys, welcome to another Gauging Gadgets Garmin review video. In this video we'll be doing a comparison between the Garmin Forerunner 245 Music on the left side right here and the Garmin Vivoactive 4 on the right side. So these are two similarly priced devices, with the Forerunner 245 Music being $350, with the Vivoactive 4 being priced anywhere from $300 to $350. Now these devices have most of the same features. They both have heart rate monitors, they both have pulse ox. If you have the music version of the Forerunner 245, they both have internal storage for music so that you can listen to music and podcast while you're on the go. They both have sleep tracking. They both have Garmin assistance and incident detection. So if you fall while you're running or if you're in trouble, you can send out a message to your emergency contacts. And they both have basic navigation features. The biggest and most notable difference between these two devices is going to be the touchscreen on the Vivoactive 4. So the Forerunner 245 has 5 buttons. You have 3 on the left side, 2 on the right, and the display is not a touchscreen at all. Where the Vivoactive 4 has 2 buttons on the right side, so you can kind of manipulate the menus with those, but you also have the ability to go through all the menus, widgets, everything like that with the touchscreen on the Vivoactive 4. Now while the touchscreen is really cool and a lot of people prefer that, there are some downsides with activities. So if you're swimming or if you like to use your watch while you're in the shower to listen to music or respond to text messages, water will cause some issues with the touchscreen responsiveness. I find that it's almost impossible to use during those activities. And you can also have issues with the touchscreen if you're doing activities where maybe the screen will be touched, such as boxing or something like that. So it's just something to keep in mind with what you plan on doing with these watches. I've been using both of these watches for a while and I really haven't found any difference in navigating the settings or using the Forerunner 245 without the touchscreen. Another difference between the look and the design of these watches is going to be the size of them. The Vivoactive 4 actually comes in 2 different sizes, a 40mm case and then a 45mm. This is the 45mm, and that will change the size of the display. So on the 45mm you have a 1.3 inch display. The resolution's a little bit higher on that, but on the smaller 40mm Vivoactive 4, you have a 1.1 inch display. I really love the look of the Vivoactive 4. The display is beautiful, and I really think it has kind of a classic watch look with the little hour markers. It looks really cool. Very impressed with it as well. The Forerunner 245 only comes in one size. That's going to be a 42mm, and the display size is going to be 1.2 inches. So if you get the larger size Vivoactive 4, you will have a larger display, and that does have a larger resolution, which makes it much easier for reading more data or reading text messages, emails, different things like that. You can get a lot more information on the Vivoactive 4 than you can get on the 245. So that's something to think about from the smartwatch capabilities right there. Now another difference with the design here is going to be a weight difference, where you do have the kind of stainless steel bezel on the Vivoactive 4, so that does add some weight. The Vivoactive 4, the large version, the 45mm, is going to be about 50 grams, where the 245 is only going to weigh 38 grams. So it's only about a 12-gram difference there, and I really don't notice that big of a difference. When it comes to the thickness of these devices, you're not really going to have a big difference there. It's less than a millimeter. Now, as you can see on the back of the devices here, we have what looks to be the same heart rate monitor right there in the center, and then the same charging cables. Now, the one difference I have seen there is, I don't know if you can pick it up, but the heart rate monitor for the Vivoactive 4 sticks out a little bit more than the 245. I haven't noticed any issues there, but it is something to note before getting this. It does stick out a little bit. Now when it comes to battery life, they do say the Vivoactive 4 has 8 days of battery life in smartwatch mode, where the 245 is only advertised as having 7. But when it comes to battery life when you're using the GPS, such as an activity, they both have 6 hours. Now from my testing of using the Vivoactive 4 for about a month now, the battery life in smartwatch mode is not 8 days at all. I would say the best I've gotten out of this watch is going to be around 4 days, which is really disappointing. Where the Forerunner 245, I haven't had any issues with the battery. I would say I get around 6 to 7 days on smartwatch mode. Now keep in mind, if you're using the GPS, it's going to use a lot of the battery life. So if you're doing activities, maybe 3 or 4 a week, you're going to go down to maybe 2 or 3 days of battery life out of these two watches. And then the last real big difference with the design of these devices is going to be the band size. The 45mm version of the Vivoactive 4 has a 22mm band, and that's this size right here, where the 40mm version has an 18mm band, and then the 245 has a 20mm band. So it's just going to be all different size bands, but all of these different size bands are available on Amazon. So if one breaks or you just want to change out the colors, those are easy to purchase. Now both of these watches do use the same charging cable though, so if you lose that, you can easily purchase one. They're very inexpensive on Amazon. One quick thing to point out before we finish up with the look and design is just that both of these have metal buttons, so they're not going to feel cheap or break easily. They are very nice feeling buttons. You get some nice tactile feedback from each of the buttons, so they feel great and they do not feel cheap at all. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the differences between the design and the look of these two devices, let's get into the actual meat of them, which is going to be activity tracking. So the 245 Music is a more running focused watch. That means it's going to have more when it comes to training and tracking your training, and also some running features called running dynamics and a metronome, where the Vivoactive 4 is more of an all-around health tracker. So it's got different things such as respiration tracking, menstrual cycle tracking, where those are not available on the 245. You also do get plenty of activity tracking features for running. You just miss some of those more advanced tracking that the 245 has. So let's go ahead in there and see what those look like. And to go along with that overall health kind of thing, the Vivoactive 4 actually has activity tracking for yard work. So you can even track your chores and things like that with it. One quick thing I want to point out, if you are a swimmer, I do not recommend the Vivoactive 4 if you're going to track those activities, because it's missing is a software update from Garmin that allows the wrist heart rate to work better while you're swimming. So as you can see on the Forerunner 245, it does have a swimming option for the wrist heart rate, where the Vivoactive 4 does not have that. So it's just something to keep in mind. That goes along with the touchscreen being very sensitive in water as well. But if you're a big golfer, the Vivoactive 4 actually wins because it does have several different golf features that I recommend checking out, including an activity for tracking golf, which is pretty cool. One of the things both of these watches are lacking is a hiking activity, so they do not come with that by default, which doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why they don't include a hiking activity for these watches, but you can actually build one on the watch, so check the description because I do plan on doing a tutorial covering how to do that. All right, so let's go into the run settings here and kind of check out the differences, because that's going to be some of the main differences between these watches. So they both have training and workouts, which includes Garmin Coach, which is a Garmin training program for 5Ks, 10Ks, and half marathons. Very cool features there, and actually changes variably with your training as you go. So if you're really good at running, then you'll finish the program earlier. So pretty cool. You can also do mixed interval training here, and both of the watches have that. Now going back to the actual run settings here, we can see some of the main differences, and really that's going to be in the data screens available for you to view while you're working out. So what that means, see here on the Vivoactive 4, how it shows 4 different data sets. So if you're running, you'll be able to see the time, your pace, your distance, and your heart rate. You can edit all of these to include tons of information, everything from your elevation. And on the 245, there are tons of different data sets for running specifically. Let's go through those now. So as you can see, both have timer, distance, pace, speed, heart rate, and then we have Run Dynamics, which is missing on the Vivoactive 4. So if we go into Run Dynamics, you can kind of see what's available in there. And I'll scroll through this so you can see it. Additionally, in the data fields, the 245 has navigation fields, and those are missing on the Vivoactive 4 as well. So I'll go into the navigation fields on the 245 and just kind of scroll through so you can see what is available there over the Vivoactive 4. All right, so those are going to be your major differences when it comes to the data fields available. The next difference is going to be that you have a metronome on the 245, which can help with running. They both have auto lap, alerts, auto pause, and then they both have the same GPS that is available, which is going to be GPS only, GPS plus GLONASS, and then GPS plus Galileo. The 245 also has a feature called Ultra Track, which is a special type of GPS from Garmin. It is less accurate, but it does save the battery drastically. That is not available on the Vivoactive 4. All right, so those are the main differences from an activity standpoint on the Vivoactive 4 and the 245. Another overall health tracking that the Vivoactive 4 includes that the 245 does not is going to be a water intake tracker. So you can go here, it's just a widget. You can hit the little plus mark and then it will track you as having 1 cup of water. So this can be good if you're not drinking enough water and you want to make sure that you're getting your 12 cups a day. Then I have 2 other features that the Vivoactive 4 has over the 245. And first, that's going to be an altimeter. So the Vivoactive 4 will actually use an altimeter to track your elevation, which can be really great if you're doing hiking or trail running. And then another one is the Vivoactive 4 has the ability to track stairs climbed. where for some reason the 245 does not. So if you like to track that, and that's something I definitely like tracking, you're going to want to get the Vivoactive 4 over the 245. The last thing I want to talk about is going to be with the navigation features on these watches. They both do have basic navigation, but the 245 does have some features that stand out. You have the ability to enter your own GPS coordinates. So if you have a point on the map you want to navigate to, you can enter those in manually. In addition to that, you have the ability to track back. So say you start an activity, maybe a hike into the woods, this watch will actually guide you back to the beginning of the activity, say a trailhead or something if you're hiking. That's pretty important if you're a big hiker because you don't want to get lost in the woods. This will actually help you, and track back will guide you on the course that you took, so it's going to keep you on the trail, which is pretty awesome. Additionally, you have the ability to create courses using saved locations on the 245, and you also have the ability to race your previous activities. So if you did a run last week and you want to try to beat that, you can do that on the 245, where that is not available on the Vivoactive 4. All right, so that was an in-depth comparison between the Forerunner 245 Music and the Vivoactive 4. If you're interested in either of these devices, I recommend checking out my in-depth reviews as well as my tutorials that I've done on each of these watches. I've done several tutorials covering all the different features on these watches, how to set them up, and how to use them. So if you're really interested in either of these watches, you can get a great look at those features by checking out the videos in the playlist below. If you have any questions about these devices, leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'm going to add affiliate links to the description below for both of these watches, so if you plan on purchasing them, please use those links to help support me. If this video helped you, give it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing to my channel, Gauging Gadgets, more gadget reviews and tech tutorials. Thank you so much for watching.